Hi guys. Tonight I want you to take a deep breath. Feel the coolness enter your nose, travel slowly down your throat, and fill your chest. As you exhale, imagine your breath joining the mist that clings to the valley floor. In this space, time does not tick. It flows. It flows like the deep, dark water of the river below, moving with a steady, unhurried grace toward an ocean you cannot see. You are here, in the heart of the Middle Kingdom. Centuries ago, there are no machines. There is no rush. There is only the rhythm of the earth, and the slow, inevitable turning of the wheel of the sky. The awakening of the mist look out across the fields. In the pre-dawn hush, the rice paddies are mirrors of polished obsidian. They hold the reflection of the fading stars, capturing the last glimmers of the celestial river, the silver river. We call the Milky Way, for it dissolves into the coming light. The mist is thick here. It doesn't just sit, it breathes. It curls around the stalks of the young rice, weaving between them like a slow-motion dance of ghosts. It is a living thing, born from the warmth of the earth, meeting the cool kiss of the night air. It settles in the hollows of the land, turning the world into a series of soft, layered ink washes, just like the paintings of the masters who will one day try to capture this very moment. You can hear the moisture. It is the sound of 1,000 tiny diamonds forming on the tips of leaves. A single drop of dew grows heavy on a blade of grass. It stretches, hanging by a thread of liquid light, until plink, it falls into the still water of the paddy. The sound is tiny, yet in this silence, it resonates. It creates a ripple, a perfect circle that expands outward, touching the stalks, moving through the mist, eventually smoothing back into stillness. Listen, far off, tucked into the crease of the mountain, a temple bell rings. It is not a sharp sound. It is a deep, bronze hum that vibrates through the air rather than cutting through it. Bung! The sound travels over the mist, rolling down the slopes, a gentle reminder that the monks have begun their first meditation. It is a sound that says, the world is waking. Be still. Be present. The scent of the morning as the light begins to shift from deep indigo to a soft, bruised purple. The smells of the village begin to rise. They are subtle at first. There is the scent of wood smoke hold, seasoned pine and cedar. It is a thin ribbon of fragrance, drifting from a kitchen where a fire is being coaxed into life. It smells of home. It smells of warmth. It mixes with the dampness of the stone paths and the scent of the nearby peach orchard, where the blossoms are tightly furled, waiting for the sun's permission to open. You walk slowly down the path. The earth beneath your feet is cool and firm. The dust of the road has been settled by the night's moisture, making every step silent. You pass a low wall made of rammed earth and stone, weathered by generations of rain and sun. Small ferns grow in the crevices, their fronds heavy with droplets as you brush past them. The water transfers to your skin a sudden, sharp coldness that makes you feel profoundly alive. It is a reminder of the physical world, of the textures and temperatures that define our existence. The first stirrings in a nearby courtyard, a wooden door creaks. It is a long, slow sound, the complaint of old timber against a stone socket. Kriak. It is the sound of a day beginning. An elder steps out into the gray light. You cannot see him clearly, only his silhouette against the pale paper windows of the house. He moves with a deliberate slowness. He stretches not the hurried stretch of someone late for work, but a slow unfurling of limbs. He raises his arms toward the sky, his hands disappearing into the mist. He breathes in the morning, his chest expanding, his shoulders dropping as he lets the air go. He picks up a broom, made of bundled twigs. Swish, swish. The sound is rhythmic, a heartbeat for the morning. He is not cleaning so much as he is participating in a ritual. He sweeps the fallen blossoms from the threshold, moving them with a gentle hand back toward the earth. The sound of the twigs against the stone is dry and crisp. a counterpoint to the soft dampness of the air. Somewhere, a rooster finds his voice. It isn't the frantic crowing of the midday, but a tentative, questioning call. Co-co, oh. It echoes off the stone walls of the village, answered moments later by another, further away, across the river. They are talking to each other, announcing the boundaries of the day. The river's song, you follow the sound of the water. The river is the lifeblood of this valley. In the dim light, it looks like a ribbon of poured lead, heavy and smooth. But as you get closer, you see the movement. The water swirls around ancient, moss-covered rocks, creating tiny eddies and white-capped murmurs. The sound is a constant, low-frequency hum, a lullaby that never ends. It is the sound of persistence. On the bank, a fisherman is preparing his small wooden boat. He moves with the grace of someone who has done this 10,000 times. He unties a hemp rope. The fiber is raspy and wet. He places a foot on the gunwale, and the boat dips slightly, sending a series of ripples across the surface of the river. He doesn't speak. He doesn't need to. He shares a silent understanding with the water. He lifts an oar, and as it breaks the surface, it makes a soft, sucking sound. Glup. Then, the rhythmic splash and slide as he pushes off into the current. The boat disappears into the mist within seconds, leaving only the fading sound of the oars and the widening wake on the water. The mist begins to glow. It isn't bright yet, but the gray is being infused with a pale, milky gold. The sun is still behind the mountains, but its presence is felt. The tops of the highest bamboo trees catch the light first. Their slender, feathered tops turn a vibrant, translucent green, swaying gently in a breeze that doesn't reach the ground. The earth breathes. You sit on a flat stone at the edge of a field. The stone is cold, but you can feel the potential for warmth within it. Below you, the rice fields are waking up. The water in the paddies is perfectly still again, acting as a lens. You can see the dark mud at the bottom, the intricate root systems of the plants, and the occasional darting shadow of a small fish or a frog. A frog climbs onto a lily pad. You watch eat a tiny, emerald jewel. It sits motionless, its throat pulsing slowly. It is waiting for the sun, just as you are. It is a part of the grand patience of the morning. The air is changing. The sharp chill of the deep night is softening. It's becoming a round, cold mellow and supportive. You can smell the wet mud now, a rich, fermented scent that speaks of fertility and life. It is the smell of the earth's work. In the distance, the village is truly beginning to hum. You hear the clink of a ceramic pot, the low murmur of a mother waking her child, the muffled thud of a wooden bucket being set down on a stone floor. These sounds are not intrusive. They are the percussion of a symphony of peace. The arrival of the gold, and then it happens. The first ray of true sunlight breaks over the jagged teeth of the eastern mountains. It is a physical thing, a spear of pure, liquid gold that cuts through the mist. Where it hits the river, the leaden water turns into a path of fire. Where it hits the dew-covered fields, a million tiny suns ignite on the tips of the rice stalks. The mist doesn't vanish. It transforms. It becomes a glowing, ethereal veil, a golden dust that fills the air. You feel the warmth on your face. It is a faint, tingling sensation at first, like a gentle hand resting on your cheek. The light is so soft, so kind. It doesn't demand. It invites. The shadows lengthen, stretching long and blue across the gold-dusted earth. The world is being painted anew. The reds of the temple lacquer, the deep greens of the pine, the weathered grays of the stone, all of them are emerging from the monochrome of the night, vibrant and refreshed. The old man with the broom stops his sweeping. He stands in the center of his courtyard, his face turned toward the light. He closes his eyes, a small smile playing on his lips. He is not in a hurry to start his labors. He is taking this moment, this transition, as a gift, and so should you. Walking into the light, you stand up from your stone. feeling the blood move slowly through your limbs. You walk toward the village, your shadow dancing long and thin ahead of you. The ducks are being let out now. They waddle toward the river in a chaotic, happy line, their soft quacking adding a playful note to the morning. They splash into the water, their feathers shedding the droplets like pearls. Everything is in its right place. The cycle has begun again, as it has for 1,000 years, and as it will for 1,000 more. There is a profound safety in this repetition. The sun rises, the mist clears, the work begins, and the peace remains. As you walk, the warmth of the sun grows stronger on your back. The morning is no longer a promise. It is a reality. The air is full of the sounds of life, the distant lowing of an ox, the rhythmic thwack-thwack of laundry being beaten against stones by the river, the melodic call of a bird hidden in the bamboo. But beneath it all, that core of silence remains. It is the silence of the soul. The quiet center that stays still, even when the world moves. Carry that silence with you, as you feel the morning sun on your skin. Let your mind drift. Let the images of the mist, the golden light, and the slow-flowing river wash over you. There is nowhere else you need to be. There is nothing else you need to do. You are here. You are safe. The day has begun with a whisper, and you are part of its beautiful, slow awakening. Sleep now, if you wish, or simply wander further into this golden morning, where time is endless and the light is always kind. This is a journey into a time where the sun and the shadows were the only clocks, and the rhythm of the heart was in perfect sync with the rhythm of the earth. We are stepping into the heart of a village in ancient China. Just as the morning light begins to warm the clay walls, and the domestic world stirs with a gentle, unhurried grace. As we move through this morning, I want you to feel the weight of your limbs, the softness of the air, and the absolute safety of this place. There is no rush here. There is only the present moment, stretching out like a long silk ribbon. The threshold of the home. Imagined yourself standing at the entrance of a traditional village home. The walls are thick, made of rammed earth and sun-dried clay, smoothed by hands that have tended this house for generations. The color is a warm, toasted ochre, a hue that seems to drink in the morning light and hold it within the grain of the soil. You reach out and touch the wall. It is cool to the touch, yet you can feel the latent warmth of the previous day still humming deep within the earth. Brick, it is solid. It is permanent. It is a shelter that has breathed with the seasons. Above you, the roof overhangs with heavy, dark wooden beams. These are not the polished, factory-cut boards of the modern world. They are the trunks of trees, hand-hewn with adzes, showing the subtle ripples of the wood grain and the marks of the craftsman's tool. The wood is a deep, burnished chestnut color, smelling faintly of old cedar and the lingering scent of incense and wood smoke that has permeated the rafters over decades. You step over the wooden threshold, a thick, raised beam of timber. In this world, you do not rush through doors. You lift your foot mindfully, stepping over the barrier and into the sanctuary of the inner courtyard. The ground here is made of packed earth, swept so clean it feels as smooth as stone beneath your feet. The rhythms of the courtyard. In the center of the courtyard stands a large, shallow ceramic basin. It is filled with water, gathered from the well at first light. The surface of the water is a perfect circle of stillness, reflecting the square of blue sky, framed by the roofline above. A single leaf from a nearby jujube tree has drifted down, resting weightlessly on the surface. You watch it for a long, slow minute. It doesn't move. The world is so quiet that the tension of the water is enough to hold the leaf in a state of eternal suspension. Nearby, a wooden bench sits against the wall, weathered to a soft silvery gray. On it rests a stack of hand-woven baskets. They are made of split bamboo, the fibers intricately interlaced in a pattern that has remained unchanged for 1,000 years. You can see the slight variations in the weave, the signature of the hands that made them. They smell of dried grass and the open fields. A dog, a sturdy village hound, with a coat the color of wheat, lies in a patch of sunlight, that has just reached the courtyard floor. He doesn't bark. He doesn't even lift his head. He simply lets out a long, shuddering sigh of contentment, his paws twitching slightly as he dreams of the cool shade of the forest. The sound of his rhythmic breathing is a soft, steady bellows, adding to the layer of peace that blankets the home. The hearth and the morning meal from the kitchen area, a soft, rhythmic sound emerges. Thud, thud, thud. It is the sound of a heavy wooden pestle meeting a stone mortar. A mother is grinding toasted grains for the morning porridge. She moves with a grace that comes from a lifetime of these movements. Her shoulders are relaxed. Her hands are steady. There is no urgency in her work. The grain will be ready when it is ready. The kitchen is a place of soft shadows and golden highlights. A small fire burns in the earthen stove, fueled by dried stalks and small branches. The flames are not roaring. They are a low orange glow, flickering gently and casting long, dancing shadows against the soot-darkened beams above. On top of the stove sits a large clay pot, its surface matted and dark from years of service. Steam begins to rise from the pot. It doesn't billow. It uncurls in slow, translucent ribbons, carrying the scent of simmering millet and a hint of ginger. The steam catches the light from a small, paper-covered window, turning into a column of dancing dust motes and white mist. The mother picks up a wooden spoon, carved from a single piece of plum wood. She stirs the pot in a slow, circular motion. The sound of the spoon against the clay is a dull, comforting scrape-a sound that has signaled the start of the day for her. Children and her children's children. The quiet play of children in the corner of the courtyard. Two small children are sitting on a woven straw mat. They are not running or shouting. They are occupied with a small pile of smooth river stones and a handful of dried beans. They move the stones with careful deliberation, building small towers and then dismantling them with tiny, gentle hands. Their voices are hushed, a melodic murmur that sounds like the bubbling of a distant spring. One child picks up a piece of white quartz, worn smooth by the Yangtze, and holds it up to the light, marveling at its hidden glow. There is a profound sense of safety in their focus. They know the boundaries of their world, the clay walls, the wooden gate, the watchful presence of their mother, and the steady sun above. In this village, time is not something to be spent. It is something to be inhabited. The children are not waiting to grow up. They are simply being. They're on the mat. In the warmth of the morning, the wisdom of stillness under the shade of an ancient ginkgo tree that grows just outside the courtyard wall, an elderly man sits. His back is straight, resting against the gnarled bark of the tree. His hands, lined like the map of a long and storied life, rest loosely on his knees. He is not doing anything. He is not reading. He is not speaking. He is simply witnessing the morning. He watches the way the light crawls across the courtyard floor. He listens to the distant sound of a neighbor's chickens, a soft, repetitive clucking that speaks of a satisfied life. He smells the ozone in the mist and the sweetness of the cooking fire. To him, this morning is not just another day. It is a masterpiece of small moments. He closes his eyes for a moment, and you can see the deep peace on his face. He knows that the seasons will turn, the rains will come, and the harvest will follow. He is anchored in the deep time of the earth. His presence is a reminder that the greatest work one can do is to be fully present in the silence. The tools of the earth, every object in this home has a soul. The pottery jars lining the wall are heavy and grounded. They hold the essentials: water, oil, fermented beans, salted vegetables. Their glaze is thick and uneven, with drips of celadon and brown that look like frozen waterfalls. When you run your hand over them, you feel the bumps and ridges where the potter's fingers pressed into the spinning clay. Hanging from the rafters are bundles of drying herbs, peppermint, and wild chrysanthemum. They are tied with simple hemp twine, swaying almost imperceptibly in the slight draft. Their scent is medicinal and clean. a reminder of the village's connection to the hills and the secret healing powers of the soil. In the corner stands a wooden plow, its iron tip polished to a dull shine by years of turning the earth. It leans against the wall, resting. It is a heavy tool, a symbol of the partnership between man, beast, and land. But even the plow feels peaceful here, a silent participant in the village's long, slow story, the song of the village as the morning progresses. The individual sounds of the home begin to blend with the sounds of the village. It is a symphony of the ordinary. The distant clack-clack of a loom from a neighbor's house, the soft, rhythmic splashing of someone washing vegetables at the communal well, the occasional lowing of a water buffalo, a deep, resonant sound that vibrates in the chest, the rustle of bamboo leaves in the light breeze, sounding like the falling of a gentle, dry rain. None of these sounds are jarring. They are all soft-edged, dampened by the thick clay walls and the heavy morning air. They form a tapestry of sound that wraps around you, making you feel tucked away, hidden from any possible storm. The golden hour of the morning, the sun is higher now, and the gold of the early light has turned into a bright, clear amber. The mist has retreated to the very edges of the mountains, leaving the valley crisp and vivid. In the courtyard, the mother brings out the bowls of porridge. They are simple, heavy ceramic, glazed in a deep iron black. She places them on the low wooden table. There is no fanfare. The children move from their mat to the table, their movements slow and respectful. The steam from the bowls rises into the air, joining the sunlight. You can feel the warmth of the food even before you taste it. It is the warmth of the earth, transformed by fire and water into something that sustains life. As you stand there, watching this family, you realize that you are not a stranger here. You belong to this rhythm. The weight of your worries has been left at the threshold, replaced by the simple, heavy reality of the clay, the wood, and the morning light. The village is awake, but it is a wakefulness that feels like a dream. Every action is a meditation. Every breath is a prayer of gratitude. Stay here in this courtyard for as long as you need. Feel the sun on your shoulders. Listen to the breathing of the dog. Watch the steam rise. You are safe. You are home. The morning is long, and the peace is infinite. The water does not hurry. It has no destination that it is not already reaching. It moves with a weight that is both heavy and light, a liquid silk that carries the stories of the mountains down to the embrace of the sea. Close your eyes and imagine that you are standing on the bank of a river in the heart of ancient China. The air is thick with the scent of damp earth and the sweet green perfume of crushed reeds. The sun is a pale, golden disk, hanging low in a sky the color of a robin's egg, and the world is painted in shades of jade, silver, and deep, obsidian blue. Take a breath, a slow, deep, cooling breath. Feel the moisture of the river air settle in your lungs. It is a clean smell, the smell of life in its most elemental form. As you exhale, let the tension in your shoulders dissolve into the mist. You are here. You are present. You are part of the flow. The vessel of stillness at your feet. A small wooden boat is moored to a post made of weathered cedar. The boat is a work of humble art, narrow, graceful, with a low profile that hugs the surface of the water. It is made of dark, seasoned cypress, a wood that has learned to live in harmony with the wetness. Step onto the boat. Feel the way it dips, ever so slightly to welcome your weight. It is not an unstable movement. It is a greeting. The wood beneath your bare feet is smooth, polished by decades of use and the constant, gentle friction of the water. You sit down on a woven bamboo mat in the center of the craft. The mat is cool and slightly springy, smelling of sun-dried grass. The mooring rope is thick hemp, damp and heavy. As you reach out to untie it, you feel the texture of the fibers rough, honest, and strong. You loosen the knot slowly. There is no rush. The knot gives way with a soft, sliding sound. You pull the rope in, coiling it beside you. The boat is free. For a moment, nothing happens. The boat remains suspended in the glassy water near the bank. Then, the river reaches out. A tiny current, invisible to the eye, but felt by the wood of the hull, begins to nudge you. The boat turns, pivoting with the grace of a falling leaf, and begins to drift away from the shore. You are no longer moving yourself. You are being moved. The architecture of the water as you move toward the center of the channel. Look down at the water. It is not just one color. Near the surface, where the sunlight catches the ripples, it is a bright, dancing silver. But just inches below, it deepens into a rich, translucent emerald. And further down still, it becomes a dark, mysterious indigo. The water moves in layers. You can see the slow, undulating ribbons of the current weaving beneath the surface like the muscles of a great, sleeping dragon. Occasionally, a small whirlpool forms a tiny, liquid galaxy that spins for a few seconds before smoothing back into the eternal horizontal plane. Listen to the sound of the hull against the river. It is a soft, rhythmic lap-lap hush. The water speaks in vowels low, round sounds that vibrate through the wood and into your body. It is the sound of a heartbeat, slow and steady. There is a paddle resting beside you, carved from a single piece of light ash wood. You pick it up, feeling its balance. You do not need to row. The river is doing the work. But you dip the blade into the water just to feel the resistance. The water wraps around the wood like a heavy fabric. When you lift the paddle, a string of perfect, translucent droplets falls back into the river. Plip, plip, plip. Each drop creates a perfect circle of ripples that expands, grows thin, and vanishes into the silence. The passing banks, the world on either side of you moves at a pace that the soul can understand. To your left, the bank is lined with ancient weeping willows. Their branches hang low, their long slender leaves brushing the surface of the river. As the boat drifts past, the leaves leave tiny, fleeting trails on the water, like the strokes of a scholar's brush on wet silk. The green of the leaves is so vibrant it seems to glow from within, a neon emerald softened by the morning mist. Behind the willows, the land rises into gentle, terraced hills. You can see the rice paddies, tiered like the steps of a giant staircase. They are filled with water, reflecting the sky so perfectly that it feels as if you are floating between two heavens. The reflections of the clouds move across the paddies with an agonizing, beautiful slowness. They are white, fluffy mountains of vapor, drifting across a sea of green. To your right, the village begins to appear through the trees. These are the water villages, where the houses are built right up to the edge of the river, supported by thick stone foundations that have stood for 500 years. The stone is covered in a velvet carpet of moss, deep, dark green, and damp. You can see the stone steps leading down from the houses directly into the water. These are the water gates, where the life of the home meets the life of the river. A woman is standing on one of the steps. She is rinsing a piece of bright blue silk in the current. She moves the fabric in a slow, rhythmic motion in and out, in and out. The blue of the silk looks like a captured piece of the sky under the water. The sound of the fabric snapping wetly against the stone is a distant, comforting thwack, softened by the distance and the humidity of the air. The fisherman's meditation, further down the river. The channel widens. Here, the water is even flatter, a mirror of obsidian and pearl. In the distance, you see a fleet of small fishing boats. They are not clustered together. They are spaced far apart, each one an island of solitude. You watch one fisherman. He is standing at the bow of his boat, perfectly still. He wears a conical hat made of straw, which casts a deep shadow over his face. He is a statue of patience. Across his shoulders is a wooden yoke, and perched on the ends of the yoke are two cormorant, dark, sleek birds with emerald eyes. The birds are as still as the man. They are waiting. The fisherman moves. It is a movement so fluid it seems to have no beginning and no end. He casts a circular net into the air. The net unfurls like the opening of a giant, translucent flower, It hangs for a heartbeat against the golden light of the sun before falling silently onto the water. There is no splash. The lead waits at the edge of the net, pull it down with a soft hissing sound. The fisherman, begins to pull the central cord, slowly gathering the net back to the boat. He doesn't look to see if he has caught anything. The catch is not the point. The casting is the point. The harmony of the movement, the connection between the arm, the net, the water, and the bird. This is the balance of the morning. As you drift past him, he raises a hand in a silent greeting. You do not speak. To speak would be to break the spell of the morning. You simply nod, and the river carries you onward. Deeper into the heart of the silence, the mirror of the heavens. The sun is higher now, but the heat has not yet arrived. The air remains cool, a gentle embrace of moisture and light. The river bends, and for a moment, the banks disappear behind a screen of tall, golden bamboo. You are alone in a world of water and sky. The surface of the river is so still, here that the line between the water and the air vanishes. You feel as if you are floating in a void of pure light. The reflections of the clouds are so vivid that you could reach down and touch their white, billowy edges. You look at the reflection of your own boat. It is a perfect twin, moving in perfect synchronization beneath you. This is the Tao of the river, the realization that for every movement above, there is a stillness below. For every light, there is a shadow. For every flow, there is a source. A dragonfly, its wings like shards of iridescent glass, hovers over the water. It stays perfectly stationary for a long moment, its wings a blur of silver. Then, with a sudden, jerky grace, it darts forward, its body reflecting a spark of sapphire light. It touches the water just a needle prick of contact, and a single, tiny ripple radiates outward. You follow that ripple. It moves so slowly. It travels across the reflection of a cloud, distorting the white vapor for a second before the cloud heals itself. The ripple continues, touching the side of your boat with a sound so faint it is more a feeling than a noise. A tiny tink of liquid against wood. Then, it is gone. The mirror is whole again. The song of the orzu decide to row, not because you need to, but because you want to feel the rhythm of the river in your own muscles. You take the ash wood, paddle and dip it into the water. The wood is cool in your hands. You push back, a slow, deliberate stroke. Swish, slide, drip. The boat responds instantly. It glides forward, a smooth, powerful surge that feels like the flight of a bird through heavy air. You lift the paddle and wait. Swish, slide, drip. You find a rhythm. It is the rhythm of your own breathing. Inhale. The paddle enters the water. Exhale. The boat glides forward. The sound is hypnotic. It becomes a mantra. Swish, slide, drip. You are no longer a person rowing a boat. You are the rowing itself. You are the wood, the water, and the movement. The world around you begins to blur into a tapestry of color and sound. The green of the willows, the gold of the bamboo, the blue of the sky, and the silver of the river, they all bleed into one another, creating a single, unified field of peace. The village bridge ahead, an ancient stone bridge, arches over the river. It is a moon bridge, a perfect semicircle of weathered gray granite. In the reflection of the water, the semicircle becomes a complete, perfect moon, a hole in the world made of stone and shadow. The bridge is covered in creeping vines and small, purple wildflowers that grow in the cracks between the stones. As the boat approaches, you enter the shadow of the arch. The temperature drops instantly. The air inside the arch is cool and smells of ancient stone and damp earth. The sounds change, too. The lap-lap of the water against the bridges supports echoes, creating a hollow, musical resonance. It sounds like the river is talking to itself in a secret lithic language. You look up at the underside of the bridge. You can see the marks of the masons from centuries ago, chiseled symbols that have been smoothed by the rising and falling of the river over 1,000 seasons. As you emerge from the other side, the sunlight hits you with a sudden, gentle warmth. It is like being born again into the morning. The light is even more golden now, the mist almost entirely gone, leaving the world in a state of high contrast beauty. The floating garden beyond the bridge. The river narrows and passes through a forest of lotus plants. Their leaves are massive green umbrellas that stand a foot above the water, catching the light in their waxy surfaces. In the center of each leaf, a single drop of water sits like a giant pearl. As the boat's wake reaches the leaves, they tilt ever so slightly. The water pearls roll toward the center, join together, and then roll off the edge, splashing back into the river with a sound like a small bell. The lotus flowers are in bloom. They are massive, delicate structures of pale pink and pure white. Their scent is overwhelmingly thick, honeyed fragrance that slows your heart rate and fills your mind with a sense of profound well-being. You reach out and touch a leaf. It feels like cool, expensive silk. It is perfectly dry, despite sitting in the middle of the river. It is the lotus effect, the ability to remain in the world, but not be of the world. To be touched by the water, but not be made wet by it. You let the boat drift into the thick of the lotus forest. The stalks brush against the hull with a soft, dry rasping sound. Shirasil, shirasil. It is the sound of the earth, whispering secrets to the water. You lay back on your bamboo mat. Above you, the sky is framed by the giant green leaves and the pink blossoms. The boat rocks gently, cradled by the lotus stalks. You are safe. You are hidden. You are at the very center of the world's peace. The philosophy of the flow as you lie there, drifting in the lotus. You think about the water. The water is the strongest thing in the world. Yet, it is the softest. It yields to everything. Yet it wears away the hardest stone. It seeks the lowest places, the places that humans often avoid, and in doing so, it finds the source of all life. The river does not try to be a river. It simply is. It follows the path of least resistance. Yet it reaches the ocean every single time. You feel that same wisdom entering your own body. You don't need to struggle. You don't need to row against the current. You simply need to be like the water, pliant, persistent, and peaceful. Your thoughts begin to slow down, mimicking the movement of the river. The memories of the past and the worries of the future dissolve. There is only the now. There is only the scent of the lotus, the warmth of the sun, and the feeling of being carried. The return to the great. Silence. The boat eventually clears the lotus forest and finds the main channel again. The river is wider here, slower, more majestic. The mountains in the distance are a pale, smoky blue, their peaks lost in the high-altitude clouds. They look like a painting done with a very dry brush on very old paper. You see a small pagoda on a distant hill, its curved roofs echoing the shape of the mountains. A thin trail of incense smoke rises from its heights, a vertical line of gray against the horizontal world. The world is perfectly balanced. The vertical and the horizontal, the light and the shadow, the movement and the stillness. You close your eyes. You don't need to see the river anymore to know it is there. You can feel it in the soles of your feet, in the small of your back, and in the rhythm of your breath. You are the river. The boat continues to drift. There is no destination. There is no end to this journey, because the river is a circle. The water that carries you now was once the rain on the mountains, and before that, it was the mist of the sea. It will return there, and it will come back again. Everything is as it should be. The deepening shade as the morning begins to transition into the fullness of the day. The colors of the river change once more. The gold becomes a brilliant white, and the shadows under the trees become deep, cool pockets of mystery. You find a spot where the current pulls the boat toward a small, sandy cove. The sand is white and fine, peppered with small, colorful pebbles. The boat touches the sand with a soft, grinding sound, a gentle landing. You don't get out. You simply sit there. the bow of the boat resting on the earth, the stern still floating in the water. You are between two worlds, the solid and the fluid. The sound of the river is different here. It's a soft gurgle as the water moves over the pebbles. Glug, ripple, hiss. It is a playful sound, like the laughter of a child. A small crane, white as a cloud, lands on the sand a few feet away. It looks at you with a calm, yellow eye. It is not afraid. It knows you are part of the landscape. It tucks one leg up into its feathers and begins to preen itself. Its movements slow and methodical. You watch the crane. You watch the river. You watch the light. There is a profound sense of completion. You have traveled nowhere, yet you have arrived exactly where you need to be. The river flows on. It will always flow on. And you, nestled in your boat, cradled by the ancient wood and the cooling air, are finally, truly, at rest. This is a journey into the heart of the earth, a descent into the slow, rhythmic pulse of a world governed by the seasons and the soil. We are stepping out into the vast, terraced landscape of ancient China, where the land is not merely a resource, but a living, breathing partner. As you listen, I want you to feel your own weight settling. Imagine your feet are connected to the ground, as steady and patient as the mountains that frame the horizon. There is no hurry here. The harvest will come in its own time. The rain will fall when the sky is ready. Your only task is to be present, to move with the grace of the planting hand and the steady breath of the earth. The descent to the paddies, the path, from the village to the lower fields, is a narrow ribbon of packed earth, worn smooth by the passage of 1,000 years and 10,000 footsteps. It winds through groves of bamboo that lean over the trail, creating a tunnel of dappled green light as you walk. Listen to the sound of your own footsteps. It is a soft, muffled thud, the sound of earth meeting earth. The air here is different from the village. It is heavier, cooler, and carries the scent of ancient fertility. It smells of wet stone, decaying leaves, and the sharp, clean temps of the spring water that trickles in narrow channels beside the path. You stop for a moment at a bend in the trail. Below you, the valley opens up. The rice paddies are arranged in tiers, following the natural curves of the hills. From this height, they look like a series of giant, liquid stairs, each one a perfect mirror held in a frame of dark, grassy embankments. The water in the paddies is so still that it disappears, leaving only the reflection of the morning sky, a pale, translucent blue, streaked with the softest white of high-altitude clouds. Take a breath. Feel the stillness of the valley rising up to meet you. In this space, the concept of work is indistinguishable from the concept of being. The breath of the water buffalo. You reach the edge of a large, lower field. Here, the water is a few inches deep, resting over a bed of rich, dark silk dots. Standing in the center of the paddy is a water buffalo. He is a magnificent creature, a mountain of slate-gray muscle and ancient wisdom. His horns are vast, curved like the crescent moon, and polished to a soft sheen. He stands perfectly still, his legs submerged in the cool mud, his tail occasionally twitching to clear a fly with a soft swish. Hwack. Move closer to him. You can hear his breathing. It is a deep, resonant sound, as slow, rhythmic bellows that seems to come from the very center of the earth. Hagash. Every breath is a testament to patience. He is not impatient to move. He is content to simply exist in the coolness of the water, his heavy eyelids drooping, his spirit at peace. The farmer stands beside him, his hand resting lightly on the buffalo's flank. The man's skin is the color of polished walnut, etched with the fine lines of a life spent under the open sky. There is no rope pulling at the buffalo's nose, no whip in the farmer's hand. There is only a quiet understanding, a partnership forged over years of shared labor. The farmer speaks to the animal, not in commands, but in a low, melodic, murmurous series of soft clicks and hums that the buffalo understands as clearly as the wind. The animal leans into the farmer's touch, a slight shift of his massive weight that creates a slow, rolling ripple across the surface of the paddy. The sensation of the mud now. Imagine yourself stepping into the paddy. As your foot breaks the surface of the water, the first sensation is the cool nasa, refreshing, liquid embrace that contrasts with the growing warmth of the sun on your shoulders. Then, your foot sinks into the mud. The mud is not messy or unpleasant. It is a rich, silken clay. It is the black gold of the valley, a mixture of mineral-rich silt and organic life that has been nurtured for generations. It feels thick and supportive, molding itself to the shape of your foot. As you shift your weight, the mud makes a soft, rhythmic squelch pool sound, the sound of the earth's suction, a reminder of its hold on all living things. You stand there for a moment, letting your ankles settle into the silt. You are grounded. You are literally part of the field. The water around your legs is clear and still, warmed slightly by the sun. You can see tiny silver minnows darting between your toes. Their movements so fast they are like flashes of light in the dark water. Everything here is tactile. Everything has a texture. The roughness of the rice stalks, the silkiness of the water, the velvet of the moss on the embankments. To work this land is to be in a constant, sensory conversation with the world. The architecture of water. Listen to the water. It is never truly silent. Ancient China is a civilization built on the management of water, but here it is done with a gentle touch. Along the edges of the paddies run the irrigation channels, small hand-dug arteries lined with flat stones. You can hear the water moving from one tier to the next. It is a series of tiny waterfalls, each one a soft, liquid note. Plash, gurgle, drip. The water flows through small wooden sluice gates, simple boards that the farmers move with their hands to direct the flow. There is a deep logic to this movement. The water is shared. It flows from the high mountain springs, through the village, into the top paddies, and then slowly filters down, tier by tier, being cleaned by the plants and enriched by the earth, before it finally returns to the river in the valley floor. It is a closed circle of harmony. Nothing is wasted. The water is a gift that is borrowed, used with respect, and then passed on. You watch a single leaf float down a channel. It hits a stone, spins lazily in a tiny eddy, and then finds the current again, moving with a steady, unhurried purpose toward the next field. This is the pace of the land, the rhythm of the planting hand. The sun is higher now, casting a warm, honey-colored light over the green shoots of the young rice. It is time for the planting, or, rather, the tending. The farmer moves through the water with a slow, high-stepping gait, his feet lifting clearly out of the mud before being placed back down with a soft plop. He carries a bundle of bright green seedlings, their roots trailing in the water like fine white hair. Watch his hands. They are steady and rhythmic. He reaches down, his fingers disappearing into the mud, and places a seedling. He doesn't just shove it in. He sets it with a gentle, firm pressure, ensuring the roots are spread and the stalk is straight. Reach, set, move, reach, set, move. It is a dance in slow motion. There is no frantic effort to finish the row. Each seedling is given the same focus, the same care. The farmer knows that if he rushes, the rice will know, the earth will know. The sound of his movement is a constant, soothing percussion. The splash of the water, the soft thud of the mud, the rustle of the seedlings. It blends with the distant call of a cuckoo in the forest and the rhythmic breathing of the water buffalo. You find yourself breathing in time with his movements. Inhale, reach, exhale, set. Your mind becomes as clear as the water in the paddy. The repetitive nature of the work is not a burden. It is a meditation. It clears the clutter of thought, leaving only the physical reality of the seedling and the soil. The mid-morning stillness. The farmer reaches the end of a row and pauses. He stands up slowly, putting a hand to the small of his back, stretching his spine toward the sky. He is not tired. He is simply checking in with his body. He walks over to the edge of the field, where a large banyan tree grows. its aerial roots hanging down like the beard of an ancient forest spirit. Beneath the tree, the shade is deep and blue, smelling of damp bark and wild mint. He sits on a flat, mossy rock, and takes a ceramic jug from a woven basket. The jug is cool to the touch, beaded with condensation. He pours a cup of tea, not the formal tea of the cities, but a simple, earthy brew, made from roasted barley and wild herbs. As he drinks, he looks out over his work. He doesn't see tasks completed. He sees the progress of a season. He sees the way the light is changing on the hills. He notices a pair of white egrets landing in a distant paddy, their long legs like stilts, their bodies as white as fresh snow against the vibrant green. In this moment of rest, there is no guilt. There is no to-do list running through his head. The rest is as much a part of the farming as the planting. It is the yin to the yang of labor. The land is resting, the buffalo is resting, and the farmer is resting. You sit there with him, in your mind. Feel the cool air of the shade on your skin. Listen to the wind as it moves through the upper branches of the banyan tree, a soft, rushing sound like the breaking of distant waves. The wisdom of the seasons. The farmer looks at the sky. He is reading the clouds like a scholar reads a scroll. He knows the difference between a cloud that brings a passing shower and a cloud that signals a week of monsoon. He understands the great clock of the year. He knows that today's work is connected to the work of his father 50 years ago, and to the work of his grandson 50 years from now. This gives him a profound sense of security. He is not a lonely individual struggling against the world. He is a link in a chain of life that stretches back to the beginning of time. This is the reassurance of the land. It is steady. It is reliable. If you treat the earth with respect, if you follow its rhythms, it will sustain you. There is a deep, quiet joy in this realization, a joy that doesn't need to shout, but hums quietly in the background of every day. The earth asks for patience. It asks for a steady hand and a calm heart. And in return, it gives a sense of belonging that no city can provide. The slow return of the sun as the morning moves toward noon. The light becomes more intense, turning the green of the rice fields into a color so bright it almost hurts the eyes. The water begins to steam slightly, a thin, shimmering haze that rises from the paddies and dances in the air. The water buffalo lets out a long, low grunt of satisfaction. He begins to move, his massive hooves creating heavy, rhythmic splashes as he walks toward a deeper pool at the edge of the field to wallow. The farmer watches him with a smile. He picks up his empty jug, packs it into his basket, and prepares to return to the row. But he does so without a sense of starting again. He is simply continuing the flow. The day is a circle. The work is a circle. And you are at the center of it. The deepening calm as you prepare to leave this field in your mind. Take one last look at the scene. The silver water, the emerald rice, the slate-gray buffalo, the walnut-skinned man. It is a landscape of perfect balance. Feel the heaviness in your own limbs now, the good, honest heaviness of a body that has been grounded by the earth. Let your breath remain slow and deep, echoing the breathing of the buffalo. The land is safe. The seasons are turning. You are held in the embrace of a world that knows exactly how to care for you. As the sun continues its slow arc across the sky, let yourself drift. Let the image of the rice paddies become a soft, green blur. The sound of the water, the smell of the mud, the warmth of the light. Let them carry you into a deep, dreamless peace. The earth is sleeping. The water is flowing, and you are home. I have crafted this segment to be a significant portion of your 11,000-word journey. To achieve the full length for your sleep channel, we will continue to dive deeper into the microscopic details of this world, the life of the soil, the ancient tools of the harvest, and the deep, geological patience of the mountains. The sun has climbed to its highest point in the vast, pale canopy of the sky. It is no longer the gentle, golden orb of the morning, nor the spear of light that pierced the mist. It has become a heavy, warming presence await of pure, liquid gold that presses down upon the valley of the Middle Kingdom, demanding a pause, a breath, a moment of profound and absolute stillness. Close your eyes and feel that heat. It is not a harsh heat, but a thick, comforting warmth that settles over your shoulders like a heavy silk robe. It is the heat that coaxes the scent from the earth, the heat that makes the bamboo stalks hum, the heat that signals to every living thing that it is time to retreat, to rest, and to let the world turn without us for a while. The air is thick and sweet. It carries the smell of sun-drenched dust, of dry straw, and the distant, cooling breath of the river. Everything has slowed. The shadows, once long and thin, have retreated, tucking themselves directly beneath the eaves of the houses and the roots of the trees, as if the darkness itself is seeking shelter from the brilliance of the noon, the retreat into the blue. Shadows, imagine yourself moving slowly, very slowly, toward the shade of a great banyan tree that stands at the edge of the village square. Your footsteps are silent on the warm earth. The dust is fine, like powdered cinnamon, and it cushions your steps, rising in tiny, lazy clouds that catch the light before settling back into the silence. As you step from the sun into the shadow of the tree, the temperature drops in a gentle, refreshing wave. It is as if you have stepped into another world, a world of deep indigo and muted jade. The air here is cooler by 10 degrees, smelling of damp bark and the tiny purple flowers that grow in the crevices of the tree's massive ancient roots. You sit. You lean your back against the trunk of the banyan. The bark is rough and honest, a landscape of ridges and valleys that has seen 1,000 years of midday rests. It feels solid. It feels eternal. You let your legs stretch out before you, the muscles in your calves finally letting go of the morning's labors. There is no one else here, yet you are not alone. All around you, the village is doing the same. Behind the thick clay walls of the nearby houses, families have retreated to the coolest rooms. The wooden shutters are drawn, allowing only thin slivers of golden light to pierce the interior gloom. In those rooms, people are reclining on mats of woven reed, their breathing slowing, their hearts sinking with the slow, heavy pulse of the noon, the song of the cicadas. Listen. The silence of midday is not an absence of sound, but a specific kind of music. It is the music of the cicadas. They are hidden in the high branches of the trees, invisible and ubiquitous. Their song begins as a low, dry vibration, a sound like the rubbing of 2 pieces of ancient parchment. Then, it rises. It grows into a shimmering electrical hum that fills the air until it seems to vibrate within your very bones. Zazaz. Zazaz. It is a hypnotic sound. It has no melody, no rhythm that demands your attention. It is a drone, a constant frequency that masks all other noises. It drowns out the distant thoughts of work. It drowns out the memories of the morning. It becomes a blanket of sound, wrapping around you, lulling your mind into a state of soft, unfocused awareness, and then, just as it reaches its peak, it fades. One by one, the cicadas grow quiet, leaving a silence so profound that you can hear the tiny tick of a dry leaf falling from the banyan tree. You wait for the next wave, suspended in the stillness. When it begins again, it feels like the very breath of the earth inhaling the heat, exhaling the sound. The ritual of the midday tea beside you. On a low stone stool sits a small ceramic bowl and a Castian pot. The pot has been resting in the shade, and its surface is cool to the touch. You reach out, your movements as slow as the shadows. You lift the pot is heavy, grounded, and silent. You pour a stream of tea into the bowl. The sound of the liquid hitting the ceramic is a soft, musical glug-glug hush. The tea is not steaming hot. It has been allowed to cool to the temperature of a mountain spring. It is a simple green tea. The leaves gathered from the misty slopes of the high peaks. As you bring the bowl to your lips, you catch the scent. It is the scent of rain on stone. It is the scent of a forest after a storm. You take a sip. The liquid is thin and clean. It travels across your tongue, cooling your throat and settling in your chest like a quiet blessing. There is a slight bitterness to it, a returning sweetness, as the tea masters call it. It is a flavor that reminds you that life is balanced, the bitter and the sweet, the effort and the rest. You hold the bowl in both hands, feeling the weight of the clay. The bowl is glazed in a deep, cracked celadon, looking like the skin of an ancient melon. You trace the cracks with your thumb. They are like the paths of a river or the veins of a leaf. You find yourself lost in the patterns, your eyes unfocusing, your mind drifting. The fading of human effort across the square. A stray dog, a lean golden creature, wanders into the shade of a porch. He turns in 3 slow circles before collapsing into a heap of fur and contented sighs. He does not even lift an ear when a small bird lands on the roof above him. He is a master of the midday rest. The sounds of the village are fading into the background of the heat. The rhythmic clack of the loom has stopped. The children's voices have dissolved into the hushed whispers of sleep. The blacksmith's hammer is silent, the forge reduced to a bed of glowing, sleepy embers. Time has not just slowed down, it has become thick, like honey. Every second feels extended. The space between one breath and the next is a vast, open territory where nothing is required of you. You are not a worker. You are not a scholar. You are not a traveler. You are simply a part of the stillness. You watch a dust mote dancing in a stray beam of light that has found its way through the leaves of the banyan. It spins slowly, rising and falling on a current of air so gentle you cannot even feel it on your skin. It is weightless. It is purposeless. It is perfect. The breath of the wind, a light wind, begins to stir. It is the noon breeze, a soft movement of air created by the heat of the fields. Meeting the cool of the shaded forest, it moves through the village like a ghost. It rustles the paper windows of the houses, creating a sound like a soft sigh. It catches the edges of the bamboo wind chimes hanging from the temple eaves, producing a single, clear note, a silver ting that hangs in the air for a long, beautiful moment before dissolving. The wind carries the scent of the river, a damp, mineral smell that cuts through the dryness of the dust. It touches your face, a cool finger trailing across your forehead, smoothing away the last remnants of tension. You close your eyes. The world behind your eyelids is a soft, pulsing red, the color of the sun filtered through the skin. You feel the boundaries of your body beginning to soften. You are no longer sure where your back ends and the bark of the tree begins. You are no longer sure where your breath ends and the wind starts. The dream of the great harmony in this state of midday grace. Your mind begins to wander through the landscape of ancient China. You see the great river, its surface a sheet of hammered silver under the noon sun. You see the mountains, their peaks shimmering in the heat haze, until they look like floating islands in a sea of white light. You see the endless rows of rice, their green heads bowed in the heat, waiting patiently for the cool of the evening. Everything is in its place. The world is functioning exactly as it should. There is a deep, underlying logic to this peace, a sense that you are held in the palm of a giant, benevolent hand. The heat is the heart of the day. The stillness is the soul of the day. You let your head lean back against the tree. Your hands loosen their grip on the tea bowl, which rests safely in your lap. Your breathing is now so slow, so shallow, that it is barely more than a ripple on a pond. The cicadas continue their drone, but it has become a background hum, a white noise that guides you deeper and deeper into the blue shadows of your own mind. The world is stopping. The light is gold. The shade is deep. And you are drifting on the heavy, golden current of the midday sun, toward a sleep that is as ancient and as peaceful as the land itself. The sun has climbed to its highest point in the vast, pale canopy of the sky. It is no longer the gentle, golden orb of the morning, nor the spear of light that pierced the mist. It has become a heavy, warming presence, a weight of pure, liquid gold that presses down upon the valley of the Middle Kingdom, demanding a pause, a breath, a moment of profound and absolute stillness. Close your eyes and feel that heat. It is not a harsh heat, but a thick, comforting warmth that settles over your shoulders like a heavy silk robe. It is the heat that coaxes the scent from the earth, the heat that makes the bamboo stalks hum, the heat that signals to every living thing that it is time to retreat, to rest, and to let the world turn without us for a while. The air is thick and sweet. It carries the smell of sun-drenched dust, of dry straw, and the distant, cooling breath of the river. Everything has slowed. The shadows, once long and thin, have retreated, tucking themselves directly beneath the eaves of the houses and the roots of the trees, as if the darkness itself is seeking shelter from the brilliance of the noon, the retreat into the blue. Shadows, imagine yourself moving slowly, very slowly, toward the shade of a great banyan tree that stands at the edge of the village square. Your footsteps are silent on the warm earth. The dust is fine, like powdered cinnamon, and it cushions your steps, rising in tiny, lazy clouds that catch the light before settling back into the silence. As you step from the sun into the shadow of the tree, the temperature drops in a gentle, refreshing wave. It is as if you have stepped into another world, a world of deep indigo and muted jade. The air here is cooler by 10 degrees, smelling of damp bark and the tiny purple flowers that grow in the crevices of the tree's massive ancient roots. You sit. You lean your back against the trunk of the banyan. The bark is rough and honest, a landscape of ridges and valleys that has seen 1,000 years of midday rests. It feels solid. It feels eternal. You let your legs stretch out before you, the muscles in your calves finally letting go of the morning's labors. There is no one else here, yet you are not alone. All around you, the village is doing the same. Behind the thick clay walls of the nearby houses, families have retreated to the coolest rooms. The wooden shutters are drawn, allowing only thin slivers of golden light to pierce the interior gloom. In those rooms, people are reclining on mats of woven reed, their breathing slowing, their hearts sinking with the slow, heavy pulse of the noon, the song of the cicadas. Listen. The silence of midday is not an absence of sound, but a specific kind of music. It is the music of the cicadas. They are hidden in the high branches of the trees, invisible and ubiquitous. Their song begins as a low, dry vibration, a sound like the rubbing of 2 pieces of ancient parchment. Then, it rises. It grows into a shimmering electrical hum that fills the air until it seems to vibrate within your very bones. Zazaz. Zazaz. It is a hypnotic sound. It has no melody, no rhythm that demands your attention. It is a drone, a constant frequency that masks all other noises. It drowns out the distant thoughts of work. It drowns out the memories of the morning. It becomes a blanket of sound, wrapping around you, lulling your mind into a state of soft, unfocused awareness, and then, just as it reaches its peak, it fades. One by one, the cicadas grow quiet, leaving a silence so profound that you can hear the tiny tick of a dry leaf falling from the banyan tree. You wait for the next wave, suspended in the stillness. When it begins again, it feels like the very breath of the earth inhaling the heat, exhaling the sound. The ritual of the midday tea beside you. On a low stone stool sits a small ceramic bowl and a Castian pot. The pot has been resting in the shade, and its surface is cool to the touch. You reach out, your movements as slow as the shadows. You lift the pot is heavy, grounded, and silent. You pour a stream of tea into the bowl. The sound of the liquid hitting the ceramic is a soft, musical glug-glug hush. The tea is not steaming hot. It has been allowed to cool to the temperature of a mountain spring. It is a simple green tea. The leaves gathered from the misty slopes of the high peaks. As you bring the bowl to your lips, you catch the scent. It is the scent of rain on stone. It is the scent of a forest after a storm. You take a sip. The liquid is thin and clean. It travels across your tongue, cooling your throat and settling in your chest like a quiet blessing. There is a slight bitterness to it, a returning sweetness, as the tea masters call it. It is a flavor that reminds you that life is balanced, the bitter and the sweet, the effort and the rest. You hold the bowl in both hands, feeling the weight of the clay. The bowl is glazed in a deep, cracked celadon, looking like the skin of an ancient melon. You trace the cracks with your thumb. They are like the paths of a river, or the veins of a leaf. You find yourself lost in the patterns, your eyes unfocusing, your mind drifting. The fading of human effort across the square. A stray dog, a lean golden creature, wanders into the shade of a porch. He turns in 3 slow circles, before collapsing into a heap of fur and contented sighs. He does not even lift an ear when a small bird lands on the roof above him. He is a master of the midday rest. The sounds of the village are fading into the background of the heat. The rhythmic clack of the loom has stopped. The children's voices have dissolved into the hushed whispers of sleep. The blacksmith's hammer is silent, the forge reduced to a bed of glowing, sleepy embers. Time has not just slowed down, it has become thick, like honey. Every second feels extended. The space between one breath and the next is a vast, open territory where nothing is required of you. You are not a worker. You are not a scholar. You are not a traveler. You are simply a part of the stillness. You watch a dust mote dancing in a stray beam of light that has found its way through the leaves of the banyan. It spins slowly, rising and falling on a current of air so gentle you cannot even feel it on your skin. It is weightless. It is purposeless. It is perfect. The breath of the wind, a light wind, begins to stir. It is the noon breeze, a soft movement of air created by the heat of the fields. Meeting the cool of the shaded forest, it moves through the village like a ghost. It rustles the paper windows of the houses, creating a sound like a soft sigh. It catches the edges of the bamboo wind chimes hanging from the temple eaves, producing a single, clear note, a silver ting that hangs in the air for a long, beautiful moment before dissolving. The wind carries the scent of the river, a damp, mineral smell that cuts through the dryness of the dust. It touches your face, a cool finger trailing across your forehead, smoothing away the last remnants of tension. You close your eyes. The world behind your eyelids is a soft, pulsing red, the color of the sun filtered through the skin. You feel the boundaries of your body beginning to soften. You are no longer sure where your back ends and the bark of the tree begins. You are no longer sure where your breath ends and the wind starts. The dream of the great harmony in this state of midday grace. Your mind begins to wander through the landscape of ancient China. You see the great river, its surface a sheet of hammered silver under the noon sun. You see the mountains, their peaks shimmering in the heat haze, until they look like floating islands in a sea of white light. You see the endless rows of rice, their green heads bowed in the heat, waiting patiently for the cool of the evening. Everything is in its place. The world is functioning exactly as it should. There is a deep, underlying logic to this peace, a sense that you are held in the palm of a giant, benevolent hand. The heat is the heart of the day. The stillness is the soul of the day. You let your head lean back against the tree. Your hands loosen their grip on the tea bowl, which rests safely in your lap. Your breathing is now so slow, so shallow, that it is barely more than a ripple on a pond. The cicadas continue their drone, but it has become a background hum, a white noise that guides you deeper and deeper into the blue shadows of your own mind. The world is stopping. The light is gold. The shade is deep. And you are drifting on the heavy, golden current of the midday sun, toward a sleep that is as ancient and as peaceful as the land itself. The day has reached its final, most beautiful chapter. The high, brilliant white light of the noon has softened into a rich, heavy amber, like honey poured slowly over the jagged peaks of the western mountains. The sky, once a singular, clear blue, is now beginning to surrender to a tapestry of color wisps of apricot, streaks of bruised plum, and a vast, underlying wash of liquid gold that seems to glow from behind the very fabric of the world. Take a deep breath. Feel the air changing. The heat of the day is retreating, leaving behind a mellow warmth that lingers on the stone paths and the clay walls of the village. It is a soft heat, a gentle reminder of the sun's journey, now being replaced by a cooling breeze that carries the scent of the coming night, the smell of damp earth, of drying grass, and the first hints of wood smoke. You are standing at the edge of the village, where the cultivated fields meet the wilder slopes of the hills. Time here is moving with a profound, unhurried grace. There is no rush to meet the night. There is only the slow, inevitable unfolding of the sunset, a ritual that has been repeated for thousands of years, a heartbeat that governs the life of every living thing in the Middle Kingdom. The architecture of the light look out across the rice paddies. The water, which acted as a mirror for the morning sky, has transformed. It is now a series of glowing plates, catching the orange fire of the sun. The reflection is so vivid that it is hard to tell where the earth ends and the heavens begin. As the sun dips lower, the shadows begin their slow, elegant crawl across the landscape. They are long, thin fingers of deep indigo, stretching out from the bamboo groves and the ancient stone walls. They move with a silence that is absolute, claiming the valley floor inch by inch. You watch the shadow of a single, gnarled pine tree as it moves across a field of ripening grain. It is a slow-motion dance. The shadow touches the stalks, turning the vibrant green into a dark, mysterious jade. It moves over a small irrigation channel, turning the silver water into a ribbon of dark velvet. There is a profound sense of safety in these shadows. They are not the darkness of the unknown, but the cooling shade of a well-earned rest. They are the earth's way of pulling a blanket over itself, preparing for a period of dreaming. The symphony of the cooking fires from the village behind you. The first ribbons of smoke begin to rise. They are thin, ethereal threads of gray and white, drifting vertically into the still air before catching a high-altitude breeze and softening into a hazy veil. These are the breaths of the homes. Each ribbon of smoke tells a story of a hearth being tended. The smell is intoxicating, a mix of dry pine needles, seasoned cedar, and the sweet, roasted scent of the evening meal. It is the smell of home. It is the smell of belonging. It signifies that the labor of the fields is done, and the sanctuary of the family is being prepared. You walk slowly back toward the village, your own shadow stretching long and thin before you. The path is cool now, the dust having lost the bite of the midday sun. You pass a neighbor's house, and through the open gate of the courtyard, you see the flicker of a fire. A mother is kneeling by the earthen stove, her movements steady and rhythmic. She is not in a hurry. She stirs a large clay pot with a wooden paddle, the sound a soft thud slosh that carries clearly in the quiet air. The steam from the pot catches the last rays of the sun, turning into a cloud of glowing amber vapor that fills the small kitchen. The gathering of the lineage, the sounds of the village, are changing. The sharp, industrious noises of the morning have been replaced by the soft, melodic murmurs of the evening. You hear the distant, rhythmic clop-clop of a water buffalo being led back to its stable. The animal moves with a heavy, swaying gait, its massive head low, its breath a slow, visible mist in the cooling air. The farmer walks beside it, his hand resting lightly on its flank, his voice a low, comforting hum that keeps the beast calm. In the courtyards, the families are beginning to gather. This is the hour of the ancestors, the time when the generations meet. Grandparents sit on low wooden stools, their faces etched with the stories of many sunsets. They watch the children play, not with the frantic energy of the morning, but with a quiet, focused intensity. The children are crouched over a game of stones in the dirt, their voices hushed, their movements deliberate. There is a sense of continuity here that is deeper than words. The light hitting the old man's face is the same light that hit his father's face 70 years ago. The smell of the rice is the same smell that has filled this valley for 100 generations. In this continuity, there is a profound piece of realization that while the sun sets, the rhythm of the life remains unbroken. The lighting of the lanterns as the gold of the sky deepens into a rich, bruised purple. The village begins to glow from within. One by one, the lanterns are lit. These are simple structures of bamboo frames and oiled paper, painted with delicate brushstrokes of plum blossoms or auspicious symbols. Watch the process of lighting a lantern. A small candle, made of vegetable wax and a hemp wick, is touched with a spark. The flame is tiny at first, a trembling point of blue and orange. Then, it catches. It grows, filling the paper orb with a warm, flickering light. The lantern is hung from a wooden hook by the doorway, or placed on a stone pedestal in the center of the courtyard. The light it casts is soft and forgiving. It doesn't cut through the darkness. It invites the darkness to sit at the edges of its glow. The village transforms into a constellation of orange stars. The light flickers against the clay walls, creating a play of shadows that makes the architecture seem alive. The paper windows of the houses glow with a soft, milky radiance, suggesting the warmth and safety of the lives within. The quiet conversations, the evening meal is served. It is a simple affair: bowls of steamed rice, stir-fried greens from the garden, and perhaps a small dish of salted fish. The sound of the meal is the sound of community. The gentle clink of ceramic bowls, the rhythmic tap-tap of chopsticks, the low murmuring flow of conversation. They do not talk of grand things. They talk of the height of the water in the lower paddy. They talk of the ripening of the peaches on the hill. They talk of the way the wind felt in the afternoon. These are the small, essential details of a life lived in harmony with the land. The voices are soft, modulated by the stillness of the evening. There is no need for loud words in a world so peaceful. The silence between the sentences is as important as the words themselves, a space for the soul to breathe and for the heart to listen to the cooling earth. The descent into the indigo. The sun has finally slipped behind the mountains. The sky above the peaks is now a vibrant, translucent violet, fading into a deep obsidian blue at the zenith. The stars are beginning to emerge, styming diamond-bright points of light that have been waiting all day for their turn to be seen. The air is truly cool now. You feel it on your skin, a crisp, refreshing touch that makes you want to pull your robe a little tighter. The moisture of the night is beginning to settle, turning the dust of the road into a firm, dark earth. You sit on the stone steps of your own home. The stone still holds a faint, ghostly memory of the sun's warmth, a comfort against the cooling air. Listen to the sounds of the night beginning to take over. The distant, lonely call of an owl in the forest. The soft, repetitive creak of a cricket hidden under a porch stone. The rustle of the bamboo leaves as they catch the night wind, a sound like the falling of a gentle, dry rain. The world is closing its eyes. The labor is done. The hunger is satisfied. The light is soft. You feel a deep, heavy tiredness in your limbs, not the exhaustion of stress, but the honest, satisfying fatigue of a day well spent. It is a weight that feels like a blessing, a gravitational pull toward the earth and toward the sanctuary of sleep. The final glow. You look one last time at the village. The lanterns are beginning to burn low, their orange glow softening into a dim, amber pulse. The smoke from the fires has vanished, leaving the air clear and sharp. The silence is now almost absolute. It is a thick, velvety silence that wraps around the houses and the trees, muffling the world in a cloak of peace. You stand up, your movements slow and deliberate. You step over the threshold of your home, into the familiar, safe shadows of the interior. The air inside smells of wood, of herbs, and of the lingering warmth of the day. The world outside continues its slow, celestial dance. The mountains remain. The river flows. The stars watch over the valley, but for you, the journey is over. The day has finished its story. The light has faded to a memory. You are safe. You are home. And the night is ready to carry you into the deep, restorative waters of a dreamless sleep. The sun has set. The shadows are still. And the village is at rest. This is the final movement of our journey, the deep, velvety embrace of the night. The sun has long since surrendered its golden reign to the silver and obsidian of the celestial sphere. The valley of the Middle Kingdom has transitioned from the active energy of the day into the profound, receptive stillness of the night. As you listen, I want you to feel the weight of your body becoming one with the space around you. Imagine that you are lying on a thick, soft mat of woven silken straw, inside a room that smells of ancient wood and cooling earth. The air is still. The light is gone. There is nothing left to do. There is nowhere else to be. You are held in the safe, silent palm of history. The architecture of the indigo sky, high above the curved eaves of the village roofs. The sky has transformed into a vast ocean of ink. It is not a flat blackness, but a deep, translucent indigo that seems to have no end. This is the sky that the ancient astronomers watched from their stone towers, mapping the movements of the stars with a patience that spans centuries. Look up, through the window of your mind, at the silver river, the Milky Way. It stretches across the heavens like a brushstroke of celestial mist, a path of light made from a billion distant suns. In this ancient night, there is no artificial light to dim its glory. It is vivid, textured, and infinitely deep. Watch the stars. They do not twinkle with a frantic energy. They pulse with a slow, steady rhythm, like the heartbeat of the universe. There is the Great Bear, turning slowly around the North Star, the unmoving center of the turning wheel. There is the Weaver Girl and the Cowherd, separated by the Silver River, waiting in eternal, silent patience for their yearly meeting. The movement of the stars is so slow that it is imperceptible, yet you can feel the entire sky shifting, rolling over the earth with a gentle, heavy grace. It is a movement that suggests the vastness of time, the millions of years that these stars have looked down upon these same mountains and these same rivers. In the face of such permanence, the worries of a single day dissolve. They become smaller and smaller, until they vanish into the silver dust of the galaxy. The symphony of the small the village is quiet, but it is a quiet filled with the textures of sound. Listen to the crickets. They are hidden in the crevices of the courtyard walls, and beneath the large, flat leaves of the garden plants. Their song is a rhythmic, mechanical vibration, a sound of dry wings rubbing together. Chirp, 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 dot. It is a hypnotic sound. It has no beginning and no end. It is a constant, steady frequency that seems to anchor the night to the earth. You find yourself breathing in time with the crickets. Inhale. 1, 2, 3. Exhale. 1, 2, 3. The sound is not intrusive. It is a background hum, a layer of acoustic velvet that mufflers the silence. It tells you that the world is alive, even in its sleep. It tells you that nature is continuing its work while you rest. Between the chirps, there is a silence so deep you can almost hear the cooling of the stones. The earth, which drank in the heat of the sun all day, is now exhaling that warmth back into the air. If you listen closely, you can hear the occasional, soft crack of a wooden beam in the ceiling as it contracts in the cool night air, a small, honest sound that speaks of the house's strength and its history. The fading of the lanterns in the village square. The last of the lanterns are beginning to flicker. One lantern, hanging from the gate of a scholar's house, has burned down to its final inch of wax. The flame is a tiny, golden point, dancing gently in the slight draft of the night wind. It casts a soft, wavering glow against the carved wooden panels of the gate, making the dragons and clouds seem to move in a slow, dreamlike dance. Watch the flame. It grows smaller. It dips. It rises. It shivers. And then, with a final, graceful flicker, it goes out. A thin ribbon of gray smoke rises from the blackened wick, curling into the darkness before vanishing. The orange glow is replaced by the cool, silver light of the moon. One by one, across the village, this ritual is repeated. The orange stars of the human world are being extinguished, handing the night back to the celestial lights. The transition is seamless. There is no jar, no shock. The darkness is not an enemy. It is a sanctuary. It is the yin that balances the yang of the day. It is the womb of the morning, the collective breath of the village within the houses. The people of the village are deep in the embrace of sleep. Imagine the sensation of 1,000 people breathing together. It is a slow, rhythmic tide. In the house next to yours, an elder sleeps on a bed of polished wood, his breath a soft, whistling sigh. In the house across the path, a mother cradles her child, their breaths synchronized in a perfect, innocent harmony. The water buffalo in the stable lets out a deep, resonant grunt as it shifts its weight in the straw. The village dog, curled in the hollow of a doorway, lets out a long, shuddering breath of contentment. This is the communal rest of the Middle Kingdom. There is a profound safety in this shared silence. You are protected by the walls, by the history of the village, and by the collective presence of your neighbors. You are a single drop in a vast, still ocean of peace. The blankets over you are heavy and warm. They are made of hand-loomed cotton, thick and breathable. You feel the texture of the fabric against your skin, a rough, comforting honesty. You let your limbs grow heavy. Your feet, which walked the dusty paths of the morning, are now weightless. Your hands, which worked the fields and held the tea bowls, are now open and relaxed. The flow of the midnight river outside, the river continues its journey. In the dark, the water looks like flowing obsidian, a liquid shadow moving through a landscape of silver. The sound of the river has changed. In the day, it was a busy, splashing sound. Now, in the stillness of the night, it is a deep, guttural murmur, low-frequency vibration that seems to come from the very bedrock of the valley. The water flows under the moon bridge, the reflection of the arch creating a perfect, dark circle in the silver current. The lotus leaves in the shallows are covered in a fine layer of dew, looking like hammered pewter in the moonlight dot. The river is the symbol of the Tao, does not struggle, it does not hurry, yet it reaches its destination. As you lie in your bed, imagine your consciousness as a leaf floating on that midnight river. You are not steering, you are not rowing, you are simply being carried by the current of time, moving toward the vast, silent ocean of deep sleep. The cyclical nature of life, the night, is not a full stop. It is a comma in the long, beautiful sentence of life. The ancients knew that the night was necessary for the day to exist. They knew that the winter was necessary for the spring. This is the great cycle, the samsara of the seasons and the stars. You feel this cycle in your own body. The fatigue of the day is the fuel for the rest of the night, and the rest of the night will be the fuel for the energy of the tomorrow. Everything is balanced. Everything is in its right place. The stars continue their slow, majestic crawl. The crickets continue their song. The river continues its flow. The village continues its dream. You are a part of this ancient rhythm. You are not separate from the mountains, or the trees, or the stars. You are made of the same stardust, governed by the same gravity, and comforted by the same silence. Entering the great stillness, the night is now at its deepest point. The hour of the rat has passed, and the hour of the ox has begun. This is the time of the most profound quiet. The time when the world is closest to its primal state of void and potential. The air is at its coolest. The dew is at its thickest. The silence is at its most absolute. Your mind is now like a mountain lake, at midnight, perfectly still, reflecting only the distant, steady light of the stars. The thoughts of the day have all sunk to the bottom, where they rest in the cool, dark silt. You are ready. The night is a velvet blanket. The stars are a silver lullaby. The earth is a steady cradle. Let the darkness carry you. Let the silence guide you. There is nothing left but the breath, the slow, deep, ancient breath of a world at peace. The world has softened into a state of total, silver-hued surrender. There is no longer a distinction between the earth and the sky, between the heavy, dark timber of the village homes and the vast, indigo velvet of the heavens. In this final hour of the night, the Middle Kingdom does not merely sleep. It exists in a state of grace that is suspended outside of time. Feel the absolute stillness of your You are tucked deep within the heart of an ancient village, wrapped in the protective embrace of thick clay walls and the weight of hand-woven quilts. The air in your room is cool or crisp, refreshing clarity that smells of old cedar and the faint, sweet memory of jasmine that has drifted in from the courtyard. Take a breath, a very slow, very deep breath. Feel the air travel into your lungs, a cooling stream that settles your spirit. As you exhale, imagine the tension leaving your body in a soft, invisible mist. Your shoulders drop, your hands unclench, your feet feel heavy and warm. You are sinking, not just into your bed, but into the history of this land, a history that is made not of battles or dates, but of silent nights and peaceful dreams. The weight of the great stillness scene, the houses surrounding yours. The village is a collective sanctuary of breath. Imagine the thousands of souls within these walls, all resting at once. There is no urgency here. There is no tomorrow to fear, and no yesterday to carry. There is only the long, rhythmic pulse of the night. The homes are solid. They are built of the earth itself, rammed clay, sun-dried brick, and massive beams of pine that have stood for centuries. In the deep dark, the wood breathes. You can hear the occasional, tiny tink or creak of the rafters, a sound like a gentle settling of a giant's bones. It is a reassuring sound. It tells you that the house is holding you, that it has held many others before you, and that it will continue to stand long after the sun rises. The blankets over you are a landscape of comfort. Feel the weight of the cotton, heavy, steady, and grounding. It presses against you with a gentle authority, anchoring you to the present moment. The texture is soft and slightly cool where your skin touches it, but beneath the surface, it holds the warmth of your own body, creating a cocoon of perfect temperature. You are a mountain. You are a stone at the bottom of a deep, clear lake. You are immovable, safe, and profoundly at rest. The song of the night wind outside. A gentle wind has begun to move through the valley. This is the breath of the high peaks, a current of air that has traveled from the snowy tops of the distant mountains, gathering the scent of pine needles and cold stone along the way. It moves through the village like a soft, invisible silk. It brushes against the paper windows of the houses, creating a sound like a long, slow sigh. It is the sound of the world being tucked in. Listen to the wind as it reaches the bamboo grove on the edge of the square. The bamboo is the guardian of the night's music. Its slender stalks, hollow and strong, sway in perfect synchronization. When the wind moves through them, they create a rhythmic, dry rustle of sound that is both a whisper and a song. Clack, swish, rustle. The sound is hypnotic. It repeats without being repetitive. It is a natural mantra that fills the silence without breaking it. You find yourself listening for the next clack of the stalks, your mind drifting with the movement of the leaves. The green-black feathers of the bamboo canopy dance against the stars, a shadow play that only the night can see. The wind travels further, reaching the weeping willows by the river. Their long, trailing branches dip into the water, creating tiny, silver ripples that catch the moonlight. The sound of the leaves brushing the surface is a soft hiss, a liquid whisper that blends with the gurgle of the current. Everything is in motion, yet everything is still. This is the paradox of the ancient night, a constant, flowing peace that never leaves its source. The architecture of the dreaming land as the village sleeps. The line between reality and the dream world begins to blur. In your mind's eye, you can see the village from above. It looks like a cluster of dark, curved roofs, like the shells of ancient turtles resting in the sand. The paths between the houses are ribbons of silver dust, illuminated by a moon that is so bright it seems to have a heat of its own. The spirit of the village is now awake in the dreams of its people. One person is dreaming of the rice fields, seeing the emerald stalks turn into a sea of liquid gold under a sun that never sets. Another is dreaming of the river, floating in a boat made of a single lotus leaf, moving toward a mountain made of pure white mist. An elder is dreaming of their ancestors, sitting in a garden of plum blossoms that never fall, sharing a cup of tea that never grows cold. These dreams are not chaotic. They are the quiet reflections of the soul. They are made of the same materials as the datha mud, the water, the wood, and the light, but they are reorganized into a world of infinite possibility and absolute calm. You feel yourself entering this dreamscape. You are no longer limited by the walls of your room. You are drifting over the rooftops. You are moving with the wind through the bamboo. You are the ripple on the river and the light on the stone. The village exists forever in this state. It is a timeless sanctuary, whether it is 1,000 years ago or 1,000 years in the future. This night, this peace, and these dreams remain unchanged. They are the eternal return, the cycle of rest that sustains the universe, the vigil of the stars high above the dreaming valley. The stars are keeping watch. They are the eyes of the heavens, ancient and patient in this deep night. The silver river of the Milky Way is a luminous bridge of stardust. It stretches from one horizon to the other, a path for the celestial dragons and the souls of the poets. Each star is a steady, pulsing point of light diamonds, set in the indigo vault of the sky. Watch the stars in your mind. They are not distant. They are a part of your own history. The same light that touches the temple roof tonight touched the first stones of the village. The stars do not hurry. They move with a geological slowness, tracing the great circles of the cosmos with a precision that is the very definition of peace. The North Star sits at the apex, the unmoving center of the turning wheel. Around it, the constellations spin in a slow, majestic dance. The Great Bear, the Heavenly Crane, the Celestial Phoenix. They are the grand patterns of the universe, reminding you that you are a small but essential part of a vast, harmonious design. There is a profound reassurance in this celestial vigil. The stars do not judge. They do not demand. They simply shine. They offer their light to the sleeping earth, a silent blessing that ensures the safety of the night. As you look up at them from the depths of your sleep, you feel a sense of weightlessness. You are drifting among them. You are a spark of light in the infinite dark. You are home in the heavens as much as you are home in the earth. The infinite continuation, the night is moving toward the dawn. But the dawn is not an ending. It is simply another phase of the circle. The village will wake. The doors will creak open. The fires will be lit. The farmers will return to the fields, and the water buffalo will move to the river. But the peace of the night will not vanish. It will simply retreat into the shadows, waiting in the cool of the well and the shade of the banyan tree. You realize that this peace is not something that happens to you. It is something that is you. You are the stillness of the village. You are the flow of the river. You are the song of the wind and the light of the stars. There is no ending to this narration, because there is no ending to the peace. It continues in the rhythm of your breath. It continues in the beating of your heart. It continues in the turning of the earth and the memory of the stones. You are floating now in a sea of pure silver light. The bamboo is whispering. The river is flowing. The stars are watching. And the village is dreaming. You are safe. You are held. You are eternal. The journey does not end here. It simply transforms into a deeper, more beautiful silence. Stay in this dream. Stay in this peace. Stay in the heart of the Middle Kingdom, where the night is infinite and the rest is absolute. The world has ceased its movement. It has entered a state of being that is beyond the reach of the sun, beyond the rhythm of the seasons, and beyond the memory of the wind. We are standing at the very center of the great stillness, in a village in ancient China where the night is so deep and so absolute that it feels as if the earth itself has stopped its rotation to listen to the silence. As you listen, I want you to let go of the idea of listening. Let the words become like the mist on a morning river, weightless, formless, and soft. You do not need to follow them. You do not need to remember them. They are simply a gentle texture in the dark, a vibration that matches the slow, heavy pulse of your own heart. Close your eyes. Feel the space around you. It is a vast, cool hollow, a sanctuary of indigo and shadow. You are lying in a room where the walls are made of thick, silent earth. The air is still. It does not move across your skin. It simply sits there, a cool and supportive presence. You are safe. You are held. You are drifting in a world where nothing is expected of you, and nothing is required. The anatomy of silence. The silence here is not empty. It is a physical thing, a thick, velvety fabric that has been laid over the village. It is a silence that has a weight, pressing you down into the softness of your bed, smoothing away the edges of your thoughts. In this silence, the spaces between the sounds are more important than the sounds themselves. Listen to the space between your breaths. Inhale, and then the pause. That pause is where the peace lives. It is a moment of pure potential, a moment where the world is perfectly balanced between the before and the after. Exhale, and the pause. In this space, there is no time. There is no history. There is only the sensation of being alive, in the dark, in the quiet. Now, listen to the silence of the room. It is made of many layers. There is the silence of the wood, the heavy, dark beams in the ceiling that have held the weight of the roof for 100 years. They do not move. They do not groan. They simply exist in a state of eternal, structural patience. There is the silence of the stone, the flat, cool flags of the floor, which have drunk in the coolness of the earth for centuries. There is the silence of the clay, the walls that have sheltered generations of dreamers, keeping the noise of the world at bay. You are part of this silence. You are a stone. You are a beam. You are a wall. You are a still point in a turning world, the subtle movement of the unseen event in absolute stillness. There is the ghost of movement. It is a movement so slow and so subtle that it does not break the peace. It deepens it. In the corner of the room, a curtain made of light, unbleached silk hangs by an open window. The night wind is so faint that it cannot be felt, yet the silk knows it is there. The curtain shifts just a fraction of an inch. It is a slow, languid ripple that travels through the fabric like a thought moving through a dream. Watch that movement in your mind. It is the movement of a cloud. It is the movement of a shadow. It is the movement of time when no one is looking. Outside, in the courtyard, a single leaf from a jujube tree has grown too heavy with the night's dew. It lets go of the branch. It does not fall. It drifts. It moves through the cool air in a series of slow, spiraling curves. It takes an eternity to reach the ground. When it finally touches the stone, it makes no sound. It simply joins the other leaves in their collective, silent rest. The dew itself is a movement. It is the moisture of the air turning into liquid light. It forms on the edges of the roof tiles, growing into perfect, heavy pearls. One drop becomes too large. It stretches, a translucent diamond hanging by a thread. And then it falls. Plip. The sound is so small, it is almost an imagined thing. It happens in the space between your heartbeats. It is a punctuation mark in the silence, a reminder that the world is tending to itself, even while you sleep. The land at rest beyond the village, the land is experiencing its own deep, geological peace. The The rice paddies are sheets of black glass, reflecting the stars with a clarity that is absolute. The water does not move. The plants do not stir. The mud at the bottom of the paddies is thick and still, holding the roots of the rice in a dark, cool embrace. The hills are great, sleeping giants. They are made of ancient stone and deep soil, covered in a blanket of pine and bamboo. They do not wish to be anywhere else. They do not strive. They simply are. They have watched the sun rise and set 10,000 times, and they have found that the stillness of the night is the truth of the world. The river, which moved with such purpose in the day, has slowed to a crawl. In the deep pools beneath the willow trees, the water is as still as the air. The fish are suspended in the dark, their fins moving just enough to keep them balanced in the flow. They are dreaming of the deep, cold currents. The land is resting. Not the rest of exhaustion, but the rest of completion. Everything that needed to be done has been done. The seeds have been planted. The grain has been harvested. The water has flowed. Now, there is only the being. The weightlessness of being. As you sink deeper into this stillness, you may find that the boundaries of your body begin to fade. You are no longer sure where the quilt ends and your skin begins. You are no longer sure where your breath ends and the air of the room starts. You are becoming part of the atmosphere of ancient China. You are the cool mist on the river. You are the shadow of the banyan tree. You are the silver light of the moon on the temple roof. In this state, there is no weight. You are floating. You are a wisp of incense, smoke rising into the rafters. You are a dust mote, dancing in a beam of starlight. You are the silence itself. There is nothing you need to achieve. There is no person you need to be. The village doesn't need you to wake up. The fields don't need you to work. The stars don't need you to watch them. You are allowed to simply exist, a quiet presence in the vast, benevolent dark. This is the freedom of the great stillness. It is the realization that peace exists even when we do nothing. It is the foundation of the world, the silent bedrock upon which all the noise of life is built. And tonight, you have returned to the bedrock. The infinite pause. The night continues. It is a long, beautiful pause. Imagine a world where the sun never rises, where the light is always silver, and where the air is always cool. In this world, the village exists in a state of eternal midnight. The people are always sleeping. The bamboo is always swaying. The stars are always watching. This is the world you are in now. It is a timeless dream. You hear the sound of a distant temple bell. It is not a strike. It is a memory of a strike. It is a vibration that has traveled through the hills and the mist until it is nothing more than a hum in the air. Min, it is the sound of the universe at rest. You let that sound carry you. You move with it, deeper and deeper into the indigo shadows. Your thoughts are now like clouds, white, fluffy, and slow. They move across the landscape of your mind, changing shape, dissolving, and reforming, but they never disturb the peace. One thought is a lotus flower, another is a stone bridge, another is a bowl of cool water. They come, and they go, and the stillness remains. The final surrender. The voice is growing softer now. It is becoming part of the silence it describes. The village is still. The land is still. The stars are still. You are at the very heart of the peace. You have found the place where the world is quiet, where the heart is calm, and where the soul is home. There is no ending to this journey, because the stillness is infinite. It will be here when the sun rises, and it will be here when the sun sets. It is the beginning and the end. Stay here. Stay in the space between the breaths. Stay in the space between the thoughts. The dark is kind. The night is deep. And you are, at last, perfectly, absolutely still. The world is held in a state of soft, suspended animation. We have come to the place where the end of the night meets the promise of the morning, a threshold that has no edge, a boundary that is as thin and as shimmering as a spider's silk stretched across a morning lily. This is the hour when the indigo of the deep night begins to drink the silver of the coming light, creating a color that has no name, a hue of pure, translucent peace. As you listen, I want you to feel the great wheel of time slowing, coming to a momentary rest at the very top of its rotation. There is no past here. There is no future. There is only the long, beautiful now of a village that has always existed and always will. The clay walls, the stone paths, the flowing river, and the sleeping hills are all part of an eternal tapestry that is being thread by thread in the silence of this moment. Take a slow, deep breath. Feel the air entering your lungs. It is the same air that moved through the bamboo groves 1,000 years ago. It is the same air that will carry the scent of the first peach blossom 1,000 years from now. As you exhale, imagine your breath joining the mist that is currently gathering in the hollows of the valley. You are not just observing this world. You are part of its return. You are the mist, you are the shadow, and you are the light that is about to be born. The architecture of the in-between in this village, in the heart of the Middle Kingdom, the night does not end with a sudden awakening. It dissolves. It fades like a dream that leaves behind the scent of jasmine and the feeling of safety. Look out over the rooftops, from your window in the mind. The sky is a vast, cooling sapphire. The stars are still there, but they have grown soft, their sharp diamond edges smoothed by the approaching dawn. They look like pearls resting at the bottom of a deep, clear sea. They are the eyes of the night, slowly closing, satisfied with their watch. The village is a shadow sculpture. The curved eaves of the houses, the heavy wooden gates, and the ancient stone bridges are all draped in a cloak of pre-dawn gray. There is a profound sense of continuity in these structures. They have settled into the earth over centuries, becoming as much a part of the landscape as the mountains themselves. The stone of the path beneath the banyan tree is cool and damp. It holds the memory of the millions of footsteps that have smoothed its surface, the farmers, the scholars, the children, and the elders. In this light, those footsteps all happen at once. The past and the present are layered upon each other like the petals of a peony. The village is not a place in time. It is a place where time comes to rest. The return of the mist from the dark, jagged peaks of the eastern mountains. The mist has begun its long, slow descent. It is a living thing, a gossamer veil of silver-white vapor that moves with a weightless grace. It flows down the slopes, weaving through the pine needles and the bamboo stalks, gathering the coolness of the high altitudes. As it reaches the valley floor, it settles over the rice paddies, turning them into a sea of milk. This is the same mist we saw at the very beginning of our journey. It has spent the day traveling through the clouds and the forests, and now it has returned home. It seeks the hollows. It seeks the still water. It seeks the silence of the village streets. Watch the mist as it curls around a stone lantern in a courtyard. It doesn't rush. It moves in slow, undulating ribbons, tasting the stone, feeling the moss. It fills the space between the houses, softening the sharp edges of the world until everything becomes a soft inkwash painting. The mist is the breath of the earth. It is the bridge between the seen and the unseen. In its embrace, the solid walls of the village seem to lose their weight. The heavy timber becomes as light as the air. The earth becomes a dream. You feel yourself drifting with the mist, moving through the village gates, over the moon bridge, and into the heart of the great silence. The song of the unseen river, the river, is the only thing that moves with purpose in this hour, yet its purpose is to remain the same. Listen to the water. In the pre-dawn hush, the sound is magnified. It is a low, rhythmic murmur, a language made of liquid vowels and soft, bubbling consonants. The river is the great weaver, connecting the mountains to the sea and the night to the day. The water you hear now is the same water that flowed past the fishermen in the morning, yet it is entirely new. It carries the coolness of the mountain springs and the silence of the deep forest pools. It moves around the ancient, mossy rocks with a persistence that is both gentle and absolute. Glug ripple. Hush, the sound is a lullaby for the land. It tells the stones to remain still. It tells the fish to remain in their deep, dark dreams. It tells the village that the cycle is whole. As the light begins to shift, the surface of the river transforms. It is no longer obsidian. It is becoming a sheet of polished lead, catching the first, faint reflections of the silver sky. A single leaf from a willow tree falls plip, panned. The ripples expand outward, touching the banks and the boats, before smoothing back into the eternal flow. This is the rhythm of the return, the movement that creates stillness, and the stillness that holds all movement. The gentle beginning without awakening in the houses. The people are still deep in the embrace of sleep, but it is a different kind of sleep. Now it is the thin sleep of the threshold. They are beginning to move toward the light, but they are not yet awake. Their dreams are becoming translucent, filled with the scent of the morning air and the sound of the mist. They are like the rice stalks, beginning to sense the sun before it has even appeared. There is no alarm. There is no hurry. The awakening is a slow unfurling, like the opening of a lotus flower in a kitchen at the end of a narrow lane. A small ember in the hearth fire pulses with a soft orange light. It has been waiting all night, buried under a layer of protective ash. As the air of the morning reaches it, it glows a tiny warm heart in the center of the cool gray. This is the first spark of the day. Yet it is a spark that was born from the fire of yesterday. It is the continuity of the flame. The village is beginning to breathe in a new way. The air is slightly more active, the silence slightly more resonant. You can hear the first, tentative chirp of a bird in the bamboo grove, not a call to the world, but a quiet song to itself, a testing of the air. It is followed by a long, beautiful silence, as if the bird is waiting for the earth's permission to continue. The geometry of the eternal village as the silver light grows stronger. The details of the village emerge with a clarity that is hauntingly beautiful. You see the patterns in the stone path, the way the masons laid the granite in the shape of a crane's wing. You see the carvings on the wooden doors, the symbols of longevity, of peace, and of the 5 blessings. These carvings have been smoothed by centuries of rain and sun, until they look like they were grown by the wood itself. Everything in this village is a reflection of a higher order. The square of the courtyard mirrors the square of the earth. The circle of the well mirrors the circle of the heavens. To walk these streets is to walk through a map of the cosmos. You feel a profound sense of safety in this order. You are not lost in a random world. You are placed in a garden of meaning. Every stone has a purpose. Every tree has a story. Every breath is a stitch in a vast, golden garment of existence. The village has seen 1,000 dynasties rise and fall. It has seen the mountains change their shape and the rivers change their course. But the feeling of this moment, this silver mist-drenched peace, is the same. It is the anchor of the soul, the constant point in a changing world, the folding back of the night. The darkness is now retreating into the deep shadows, the spaces beneath the temple eaves, the hollows of the ancient banyan roots, and the corners of the silent rooms. It is not being driven away. It is simply making room for the light. The transition is so slow that you cannot see it happening, only that it has happened. The indigo is gone. The sky is now a pale, luminous gray, the color of a dove's wing. This is the moment where the story folds back into itself. The mist that we saw in the very first hour of our journey is exactly the same mist that we see now. The cool air that greeted our first breath is the same air that we are breathing now. We have traveled through the dawn, the morning, the midday heat, the evening shadows, and the deep midnight stillness, and we have arrived back at the source. The circle is complete. As you lie in the stillness, you'll realize that you could start the journey all over again, and it would be just as new and just as familiar. The sunrise is about to happen, but in your heart, it has already happened 10,000 times. The final Suspension, the world is perfectly balanced. The sun is just beneath the horizon, its light pressing against the edge of the world, creating a glow that is as soft as the velvet of a peach. The mist is at its thickest, a silver ocean that hides the village from the rest of time. You are floating in this space. You are the mist. You are the stone. You are the silver light. There is no need to wake up. There is no need to move. You can stay in this threshold forever, in the place where the night and the morning are one. The river flows. The mist returns. The stars fade, and the village remains. You are held in the heart of the eternal return. You are safe. You are at peace. And the story is beginning again, in the silent, silver breath of the dawn.